Thank you. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Erica, call the roll, please.
Mayor Mitchell?
Here.
Vice Mayor Best?
Present.
Councilwoman Bravo?
Present.
Councilman Fahet?
Here.
Councilman Vasquez?
Here.
There is a quorum present.
Thank you. All right, the invocation tonight, I'm going to be doing the invocation. Councilman Best asked me to do the invocation for him tonight because he wants to do it next month. He has a special guest.
Next meeting.
Next meeting, excuse me. So I'll stand. Oh, Heavenly Father, we ask that you watch over us as we conduct this meeting tonight. Guide us to make the best decisions for our residents, for our community, for the future of Miami Springs. We ask for your blessings today and always. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we proceed, I wanted to, with the invocation, I wanted to mention just our condolences to the family of Rosie Buckner. She's a former councilwoman for the city of Miami Springs. And sadly, she lost her grandson last night. So our deepest condolences to her family. Okay. The first agenda item, thank you, Erica, are the awards and presentations. 4A is a presentation by Miami-Dade County Corrections Director Daniel Jr. on the replacement of the jail. Welcome, Director Jr. Nice to see you again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for having me. Took me a little while to get up out the seat. I'm sorry, I may have put on a few COVID pounds during the pandemic. But again, it's so great to see each of you again, and the city manager, vice mayor, you, Madam Mayor, and my friend Chief Guzman, who does an outstanding job, as you all know, here for the beautiful city of Miami Springs. I know this last year has been truly challenging for all of us, and I do recognize and sympathize, and my condolences to each one of you who may have had family members that you may have lost during this pandemic. The Corrections Department is no different. We're not exempt from the effects of this pandemic. We actually lost 4 of our employees over the last year. So, our heart grieves with those families, as well as a number of our officers who became ill due to the COVID, but with God's will, they were able to survive. So happy and sad, but still happy to be here in the presence to see all of you back here today. Again, I am honored to be able to present to you an update. I know we presented some months ago, pre-COVID, on the plans to replace the downtown facility, the pretrial detention center, which is a 60-year-old jail in the Civic Center area of downtown Miami. And when I see how it's referred to on the agenda, I appreciate the adjustment, because I can recall standing before you back then, and the heading was TGK jail expansion. And I think we talked a lot about that this is really not an expansion of the jail system, but it's just a replacement of a very old facility. And I want to just kind of go through some of the information. Most of it you've probably seen during the first presentation. For those of you who have not seen it, just kind of give a little background and overview of some general information. So I don't know if it's okay to.
Yes,
It's okay.
when you're speaking, please,
Okay.
you feel
Thank
free to remove your mask.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to pass out on my, so early in the program. So as you know, the Corrections Department here in Miami-Dade County is the 8th largest correctional system in the country. On an annual basis, we admit approximately 55,000 persons into our system. We currently have a daily population of anywhere from 4,000 to 4,300 individuals. And last year, we increased our population on house arrest, or what we refer to as monitored release program, from 800 to well below 1,300, because we saw the importance of trying to depopulate the jail as safely as we could for those individuals who could be safely transitioned to the community, to their homes on a monitored capacity. So we were able to increase the population that's being monitored currently throughout our county via the ankle monitors from 800 to 1,300. Our average length of stay is about 31 days. We process and release anywhere from 130 to 170 individuals daily, and we serve approximately 5 million meals annually. We have a staffing requirement of 3,077 employees, which comprise of both sworn and civilian. So some of the initiatives that we talked about the last time was a number of initiatives that we implemented to reduce the jail's population, such as crisis intervention training, because we recognize the importance of our correctional officers and our police officers being able to recognize mental illness versus someone that's actually violent towards an officer or committing a crime that they have some control over. Jail diversion program, we implemented that some years ago, as well as the mental health diversion center, which is currently being renovated in the Civic Center area with advocates such as Judge Steve Leifman spearheading that program. Again, we talked about how we expanded the monitor release program to further reduce the jail population. We have been a strong advocate of the civil citation program because we recognize not every infraction warrants actual arrest. You know, one of my predecessors used to always say, we're in this business to put ourselves out of business. So I don't think anyone has less incentive to reduce the jail population than I do, but we recognize this is the right thing to do. If there's someone that does not have to come into our custody, we don't want them there. Again, cashless bond system, we put together a committee. I currently chair the Dade Miami Criminal Justice Council, where in 2019, we put together an ad hoc committee to look specifically at our cash-based bond program, because we recognize there's been advances throughout the country in areas of cash-based bond systems. So we put together some recommendations for the chief judge to take a look at, and we hope to see the results of that work as well. And I also personally served on the then President Trump Commission on Law Enforcement and Administration of Justice Reentry Program and Initiatives Work Group to further discuss best practices on how we can reduce recidivism and youth incarceration. So again, as I shared before, we're proud of the work that we've done here as a group. This is not just a corrections success. This is a Miami-Dade County as a whole success. Back in 2008, we had a population of well over 7,000 individuals in our custody. And as you can see, since that time, we've been trending in a downward direction based on a number of initiatives that we initiated along with our stakeholders and different partners. Next slide. Back in 2008, we booked anywhere from 120,000 persons daily to the example I just shared earlier. Last year, we actually booked around 53,000 individuals, thereby cutting our bookings and our jail population by 50%. Since that time, we've been able to close 3 facilities. I know when I started back in 1996, we had 7 facilities. They were completely populated, plus the boot camp program, which you see here in Miami Springs. Right now, we only have 3 facilities that are populated in our boot camp facility, and in the process of surplusing the remaining on our inventory. The only challenge, however, the remaining population, when you pursue such initiatives to reduce the jail's population, naturally the corrections department will not jeopardize the safety of our residents. Miami Springs residents, as well as our larger county as a whole. So when you look at reducing the population, more often than not, you see a reduction in the population for low-level offenses. So right now, the 4,000 individuals who are in custody, 96% of those individuals are charged with felony charges. A very small percentage of those are in on misdemeanors or low-level offenses, because we've done a great job as a county with our law enforcement partners by diverting a lot of those low-level offenses to other alternatives to incarceration, such as civil citation, promise to appear, etc. So the projection that we use, I know it's kind of hard to see, but if you look at the third bullet, the projection that we utilize to project what our jail system should look like over the next 20 to 40 years. We know from studies that most counties only build jails once every 50 years. It's taken us 60 years to address the aging conditions of our infrastructure. So we have to plan for growth, because we know Miami-Dade is growing at a very significant rate. And any jail system any jail system that is at maximum capacity is overcrowded. So you can't build a jail that's house 1,000 people and put 1,000 people in it. You're going to have problems, because you got to allow for opportunity to separate folks that don't get along, separate them after they fight, and also contingency if there's an emergency. So what we projected the population to reflect 20 years from now, since 2013, the jail's population was 0.14% of the Miami-Dade County larger population, between 0.14% to 0.16%. So if you do the math and you project that out, we know the Miami-Dade County population is projected to grow anywhere from 1% to 2% annually. And if you project that out and you apply the same math to it, you come up with what the jail's population more than likely will look like, considering we continue a lot of the different initiatives and we keep low-level offenders out. But naturally, if you look at the 5 o'clock news any other day, you recognize that there are going to be some individuals who are going to relinquish their right to walk among us in free society, and we'll have to have some place to put these folks. So next slide. On this slide, it shows the first column actually reflects the Miami-Dade County Corrections current jail capacity, with Metro West has a capacity of 2,234. The pretrial detention center, which is the facility slated to be replaced, has a capacity of 1,400. TGK 1,000. The old Turner Guilford Knight, which is next to TGK, 822, and also our boot camp program, which is 156 beds. Well, what we're proposing is actually a reduction to that footprint. So a lot of folks will ask, well, why are you expanding the jail population with so much criminal justice reform on the horizon? We're actually reducing the footprint, replacing 2 jails with 1 new, more efficiently modern facility. Next slide. So why do we need to do this? Again, the pretrial detention center is well over 60 years of age. The infrastructure, in order to bring it up to meet the current compliance requirements, we have to make upgrades to meet 40, 50, and 60-year recertification. The linear design is insufficient. inefficient and staff intensive and does not meet current confinement standards. Insufficient number of segregation cells for discipline and protective custody, and insufficient space for reentry and programming needs. It also lacks infrastructure and network connectivity, such as a jail management system and video visitation. So we can always sit here and say, well, what if we did nothing, right? So we decided to do nothing. The pictures depicted on the slide here is a picture of the Training and Treatment Center's current condition. So we know Miami-Dade County is growing at a rate of 1% to 2% each year. We know inherently the jail population is going to grow at a rate comparable to that. If we did nothing in the next 5 years, we can see the jail administrator, it won't be me because I'm in the drop. I'll be gone in 4 years. But someone would have to make a decision on where to put these folks, right? And I doubt as a county, such a progressive county as Miami-Dade County and a progressive city as Miami Springs, we don't want to house our residents in an unconstitutional environment such as that. And it's my opinion that it would be grossly irresponsible on my behalf if I did not plan accordingly. So, which is why I was here the first time, and happy to come here now and come back and have any conversations with anyone else as to why we need to do this for our county. So again, thank you for having me. So let's talk about site locations. One of the biggest point of contentions during the last meeting were site locations. Naturally, the TTC site, as you know, has to go away. It's 11 acres of property, great for further development. Naturally, it was one of the main focal points during our initial discussions. Well, the county, your county mayor, then Mayor Jimenez, then and now Mayor Cava, we heard you. The county heard the residents of Miami Springs and Virginia Gardens, and I was charged to look at other locations, which we did. We looked at the existing location, which is downtown, the pretrial detention center. There's a location in the north end of the county, Dade Juvenile Justice Center, as well as the existing Training and Treatment Center, Metro West, and Chrome. So the plan that we feel best meets our needs and also addresses the concerns of your residents, Mayor Mitchell, is to build the facility out west next to our Metro West Detention Center, which is between the county jail and the state prison out on 138th Avenue and 41st Street. So that's the plan that was approved on October 6th, I believe, of 2020. And that's the plan that's going forward, to move that jail out west away from your residents. And we're happy to be able to come and announce that to both you and the residents of Miami Springs.
Director Junior, I think you've heard a collective sigh of relief.
I think you did, yeah.
Because that was our understanding of what was going to be planned, but
Yes.
we wanted to hear it from you.
Yes, ma'am,
There you go.
absolutely. Now keep in mind that is a hybrid plan. We do have TGK still on the site at TTC, which requires some support. So on the site next to TGK, the plan is to bring a true intake release center, right? As you know, we currently do all of the intakes, all the bookings and release right there at TGK. It's central throughout the county. Naturally, Chief Guzman doesn't have too far to drive, but if we move it too far south, then I'll be meeting with Aventura next month. Or if we move it too far north, then I'll have to go down and meet with Florida City. So we've been operating here at this location since 2013, and it works for our police partners. So the plan is to, again, build a true booking and release center there, as well as we're going to bring our headquarters, the NDCR headquarters. Right now, my headquarters building sits on 62nd Street and 27th Avenue, which is we actually lease that property. And we also lease 2 additional warehouses for all of the inmate supplies, staffing supplies, and all of our food, to the tune of about $3.9 million annually. So this would allow us to eliminate those leases and bring everything central, bring my staff, the leadership team on site at TGK to make sure we better manage that facility as it is. Now, if the residents of Miami Springs don't want me in at TGK, that's something different. But it's all going to be admin, no overnight beds, no additional beds at TGK, all admin support, and all of the jail beds are going to go out west to Metro West.
Excellent.
Okay.
If I hear you.
If you look at the next slide, that's actually a breakdown of the two different sites. I'm sorry, if you could go back. Yeah, you may have missed it. That's the breakdown for both sites. You have the 1,900 bed facility at Metro West, one courtroom and a central support building where we'll do our laundry and our food. And at the training and treatment center site, which is next to TGK, administrative offices, courtrooms. You have to have courts to support the booking center. And then parking naturally so we can get them off the corner of Milandary and 36 and build a dedicated parking for the staff and out of the view of the passerbyers. So we can do a better job with the curb appeal on that particular intersection. The next couple of slides just talks about a construction cost. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that, but I don't want to belabor you, but the plan to pay for all of this, the cost is projected to be about $447 million, of which we currently have $30 million in GOB funds, GOB number 194. And the debt service is projected to be paid with the savings in building a new, modern, efficiently run jail facility, which we project to be able to reduce our number of FTEs by over 300 FTEs by the time we open. And that's going to yield a savings of approximately, the county budget office vetted the numbers, yield approximate saving of about $35 million annually to be able to pay for the new facility. Okay. Next steps, again, this is very preliminary. The first site, meaning the TGK site, has already gone out for bid, and we expect site number 2 to go out in the coming months to get that project moving forward as well.
I'm sorry, what did you mean by site number 2? The TGK site, and then what do you mean by site number 2?
Metro West.
Oh, the Metro
The
West.
actual jail itself. Yes, ma'am. All right. So I'll stop there unless anyone has any questions for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
for this
much.
very
Through the
informative-
chair. Oh, sorry, Walt.
Go
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Director Junior, you're always welcome here because every time you come, you give us pretty much everything that could possibly be asked in your presentation, your bullet points and stuff. So that's cool. Also, too, the last time you were here and now, you have addressed everything that the city has asked for. And I think on behalf of the residents of Miami Springs, I'd like to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
In addition, couple of questions here, briefly. On page 8 of your presentation, you draw out from present day 2021 up to 2040.
Yes, sir.
And I just looked at this and I said, well, 4135, and it kind of just creeps up a little for like 20 years. Yeah, far right column. You with me? Is that realistic?
Not only is it,
I know you didn't. I know you didn't compile the report, but in all fairness, though.
no, we work closely with ISD and OMB on these numbers, and along with my staff. Not only is it realistic, I think it's very conservative.
Oh, indeed.
My honest opinion. So naturally, we know with everything that's happened throughout the country, the push for more, jail and criminal justice reform. And, we recognize that there's a lot on the horizon that can be done to defer individuals from custody that don't have to be there. Naturally, someone that's a threat to our society, they need to be in our facilities.
Okay.
But those that do not, then we recognize there's other mechanisms for dealing with that. So what we put together was a very conservative projection based on the natural growth that we see here in Miami-Dade County. Naturally, once this project goes out, they'll bring in a lot more people that's a lot smarter than I am that's going to do an actual projection.
Sir, never say that.
But they're going to do, put together some experts and do an actual projection of how large the jail needs to be. And the fact that we're on the location out west, we're not limited to the 11 acres, which actually works out in our favor. So I'm happy we were able to have this conversation initially so that we cause us to go back out and look at other areas, because if the experts come back and say, you know what, you may have to go a couple of hundred bigger, at least we have the room to grow.
Well, again, sir, Director Junior, I think that your release mechanism what you've described to us tonight is most on the mind of residents, and what you've done with that is amazing. My final question, Mayor, if I might, is you said you got 30 million banked, and this is a $447 million project. Where do you anticipate the funding to come from? The county, the state, or federal?
No, actually, as I said earlier, so the rest of the 417 million, we plan to finance over a period of several years, which the savings is going to pay towards the debt service.
Okay, you're going to bank it then. Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Chair. Thank you, sir. First time we're meeting. I appreciate your presentation. I just have a quick question about you mentioned some redesign outside the buildings to accommodate more vehicles, parking for administrative staff. Has there any thought been given to a way in which you could accommodate public transportation as well? Here's the reason why I'm asking. I work for Miami-Dade College. Our Kendall campus is the largest campus we have, and our North campus is also very large. And in order to prevent a lot of people on the sidewalks, the buses on Southwest 104th Street actually come into the campus and do a loop. And the same thing happens at North Campus. I know one of the issues has been around the bus stops in the past. And actually, those sidewalks are not very wide on Northwest 36th. It's been an issue for us throughout Springs. Any thought in the design about that at all with the Department of Transportation?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we have not thought of that, but that's a part of the whole development and design process. So my construction chief is here with me today, who once this project gets kicked off, we want to invite residents and folks from the community to get these type of ideas to help with traffic, and definitely a bus loop. So right now there's plans to have multiple stakeholders there, the state attorney, MDPD, there's the fire is even considering moving the station from where they are currently to make it one criminal justice or public safety complex. But it only makes sense to have something similar to that. I know exactly what you mean, where the buses can come off out of the way of traffic and pick up. Absolutely. That
keeps them from stopping too on North.
Yeah, that definitely shouldn't be an issue. I think there's more than enough space to do something like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Junior, thank you again for extremely informative and for working with us. I know the first time you came,
That was not
did
good
not go well. No,
for you.
no. But
I think some of the folks here remember
you
that.
were very professional and
He's short counting off those 4 years.
You and the county took it back to the drawing board, and I agree. Metro West is the one facility. If you're not going to create a new facility, either in the very south or in the very north to accommodate whatever needs you have done there, And Metro West is, the site that has the most growth potential. You've already got a facility there. It won't impact any neighborhoods.
Yes, ma'am.
And I remember going to Metro West for work.
Oh,
Numerous times. And I don't know how long years it was corrections, but I remember telling people, just go on 36th Street and keep driving and driving through the Everglades. And when you think you've gone too far, keep going.
Keep
You
going.
still have it right. And
Keep
now it's, just very reachable with 36th Street and also.
absolutely.
But I wanted to ask you a few things. My understanding is you're going to build, TGK is going to keep the same capacity of beds that it has now.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct? So there won't be an increase in beds. What you're planning to do is create a new facility where the training and treatment is what the stockade, what I used to call the stockade,
That's correct.
is that
That's
area.
correct.
So you're
Goes
planning, so you're planning to create a new facility there. And the new facility would mainly be for administrative, so offices, corrections offices, and yourself. We're great to have you and your staff here in our community. Your headquarters. What I wanted to find out about is the intake and booking and release. Because one of the issues that I know our sister city, Virginia Gardens, and we have had is when when there's a release of persons that have been incarcerated and they're released. I know they're given a bus pass, evidently they're given, but if you have nowhere to go, you're going to put the bus pass in your pocket and walk around, wander around, loiter around until you have a need to use it. There's no real reason to hop on a bus and go anywhere. So one of the issues we've had with the release has been, persons being released from TGK and just wandering over across the bridge into Virginia Gardens in our community. And it concerns our residents, and we've had incidents related to that. So is this mean that there's actually going to be an increase in the numbers that are released from the facility? You're going to be bringing people from Metro West here to release them?
Absolutely not. So right now, we currently affect all releases from TGK. We currently do not release from Metro West. All releases are affected and have been affected from TGK since 2013. The only exception is during the nighttime hours where there is no public transportation. I think the last route ends at about 9:33 and resumes up 5:48 in the morning. So any releases after 9 p.m., 7 days a week, and before 6 a.m., you have to have a family member there to pick you up. Statutorily, we can't hold these people if one of our kids or nephews get arrested and mom's there to bond them out. We can't hold them. What we can require them is to have a ride, and we vet that information. So the only people that get released are those who have family members there to pick them up. And if you do bond out, for example, and you don't have a family member to pick them up, let's say
This is after hours, you're
this
saying?
is after
Right.
hours. So if you do bond out, let's say 19-year-old gets arrested on the beach, doesn't want to call mom, has the money on him, bond himself out, doesn't want to call anyone to pick him up, we actually put them on a bus and we transport them to the Civic Center area, which is where the 24-hour, you have about 5 routes that run 24 hours a day to the different ends of the county, and they can catch transportation that way. Those numbers are very minimal. The majority of folks have a family member or someone that come pick them up. And the majority of our releases are from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay.
Remember, we have bond hearing that occurs 9 in the morning and 1 p.m. in the afternoon. The majority of releases that you probably see are after those first appearance.
So, and what I'm addressing is the releases that are not after hours, it's during hours, where my understanding is the Corrections Department is providing them bus transportation. I mean, a pass for bus transportation, but
Right.
they don't have to use it. They're just let out. So that appears to be the problem, that if you don't have a place to go, there's no real reason to use your one ticket for bus transportation at this moment. You might as well wander around in the area. And I know Virginia Gardens has, Mayor Dino, this has been a big concern of theirs. So how can we address that so that, and that's a huge amount of time from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Right.
daily, that I have no idea how many of the persons that you release actually use them. But, eventually I'm guessing that they will use the bus transportation. But in the meantime, we're left to deal with that. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. I think one of the things that has been discussed, or that Mayor Dino has discussed in the past, is bringing the person, transporting the person back to the area where they were picked up. So if they were picked up in Kendall, they go back to Kendall. And, instead of all of a sudden, it's like, no matter where they were picked up in the county, they're being released in our area. And, and it, we're left to deal with the consequences.
So a few things. So there's a couple of train of thoughts as it relates to that. Some organizations will tell you, which is true, once they're released, they're free citizens, right? So regardless if they're picked up in Homestead, Aventura, or Miami Springs, they're free citizens once they're released. The other train of thought is, which is what we have in place currently, is for the homeless population, that the example you gave have nowhere to go. The folks that we release and give a bus pass, according to our records, they have somewhere to go. They have a home, they have an address.
Okay.
And if they choose to not to get on the first bus, we really have not much control over that. But the homeless population, we have within TGK staff that's employed, contracted through the county, that work with the Homeless Trust. We have beds that we fund at Camilla's house for our homeless populations that's dedicated only to the jail. So if someone gets released and they're homeless, we don't just put them out front of TGK and give them a bus pass. We have the Homeless Trust employee who's there with a van, puts them on a van, and we take them to the Camilla's house. So we don't release homeless people. Another thing that came up before was, well, you're releasing homeless people after hours. Remember, they're homeless. The only people that are released after hours post bond. Homeless people typically don't post bond after hours because they don't have any money. They're typically released during the day after 9 a.m. court and 1 p.m. court, which we have Homeless Trust staff on site to transport them after that. So one of the things that Mayor Jimenez put in place and incorporated in this plan, however, is although it'll be a significant impact to the county's budget currently, with this projected savings, Mayor Jimenez asked us to incorporate a transportation plan that anyone who needs transport after release, we can transport them back to the areas, like the example you gave. Naturally, that will require funding, resources, staff, vehicles, and this plan actually includes a component of that. But again, we have to realize the savings, so we can't actually start that program until the jail is operationalized.
Through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
A quick question. Is Camilla's house the only place that homeless people are released to? Because I've heard stories about that they get released from TGK and then they go to, we have 2 hotels here in the city of Miami Springs that the Homeless Trust houses homeless people at. So I've heard stories about them being released from TGK and then sent there. Do you know if that's the case?
I don't know. We contract with Camilla's house. We actually purchase bed space at Camilla's house. Anyone released from TGK is taken to Camilla's house.
The actual Camilla's house facility
Correct.
at near downtown.
Downtown. That's correct.
To the chair, Walt, are you referring to Red Roof and that in the Abraham track?
Yep.
We have had someone has noticed a corrections bus in front of these hotels, so that's why we're wondering in the past.
If you
think it's
notice a
possible?
corrections bus in front of a hotel, I would love to have that information because it's probably not a release situation. That's probably something else going on that I need to look more into.
All right, well, we'll make sure that if we see that this was reported to me, after the fact, and I think to the city, but if we will make sure to give you a
Absolutely.
speed call and let you know it's right there.
Please-
And I'm very
please
good
do.
at taking photos of
Please
stuff,
do.
so we'll make sure. All right.
To the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to see if you can elaborate a little bit more on the boot camp program that you mentioned here that have the same capacity rate. How does that program work, and how does it help the inmates once they're released or incarcerated?
Absolutely. So we're proud of the boot camp program. Actually, one of the persons that actually spearheaded the program was a former director who returned as assistant director, sitting right behind me, Meridel Guevara. Most of you may recognize her as a previous director. In 1995, we started a alternative to incarceration. What the boot camp program is, offers a regimented 16-month program which offers individuals or youth between the ages of 14 to 24 a second chance. So what happens is if a juvenile or boy or girl getting a first offense within that age group, through the judiciary, the judge can sentence them to boot camp. They may be looking at 5 years in prison, but the courts recognize, this person may be able to turn their life around and be afforded a second chance. So what we do, we take those individuals in the first 3 months is a paramilitary boot camp regimented program where we give them shock treatment, a lot of physical training.
You don't mean
etc.
electric shock. you
Shock
mean-
No.
Let's make sure. I know
Like
you
a
mean.
military
You're right,
boot
a
camp.
military, yes, I know.
Okay, military boot camp.
Waterboarding.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So the first 3 months is more military regimented, and then the next couple of months, 2 months, we actually give them job skills training, and we link them to employment.
Excellent.
So it's like a work release. So for the next 2 months, they actually taught how to put together a resume, apply for jobs. We contract with Career Source of Florida, Transition Inc., and we actually link them to employment within the area. If you're in the area and you ever see them with their pants and their long sleeve shirt and tie and they go catch the bus, they actually go into work from the boot camp program. So it's a work release, they go to work, they come home,
I've seen
they
that.
earn money. And at the end of those 2 months, the last 10 months of the program, they're back in their residence, in their community, but we monitor them via the ankle bracelet. But this way, we recognize returning them back home. Yeah, they may be going back to the same environment, but now they're employed. Now they have ability to keep gas in their car, keep their phone on, and hopefully keep them from reoffending. For 26 years, we've been able to celebrate approximately 10% recidivism rate of that program. That means only 1 of every 10 individual, juvenile, cadet, however you want to call them, reoffends within the first year of that program. So we're very proud of the success of that program.
Is that limited to up to 25? Is there some sort of type of program for inmates over 25 to maybe get them on that same track as well, if you see that potential?
I think it's capped at 24. I don't know. Have you ever seen it go above the age of 24?
No, what makes it difficult, sorry, Mary Del Guevara, Assistant Director. What makes it difficult, we do have a reentry program where we try to link individuals with getting their IDs and stuff. So 90% of the jails pretrial sentences. We usually have a small percentage of individuals sentenced to the jails, which is someone sentenced under a year. And we will focus on the reentry efforts on those. What's difficult to do with reentry is you never know when someone's going to get out. So you have to have a sentence date in order to work backwards. So those individuals sentenced to jail, older that do not meet the qualifications of boot camp, we bring in social services activities. We get their driver's license or ID license. Social Security benefits, all that. We try to have all that organized before they're actually released. And we work with also career services to try to get some education, but it becomes more difficult if you don't have a sentence date. But we are trying to expand those efforts, and hopefully with the new facility, that's where we're going, trying to expand our programmatic efforts.
Thank you.
Nice.
I just wanted to say that with the boot camp, again, in past years because I worked for the county, so I've been in almost all the departments. I've visited the boot camp several times in the past, and I really want to commend the corrections department. These young men are, in uniform, like a military style uniform. They say, ma'am, yes, ma'am, and stand erect, and just really impressive. You would not know that it was a corrections facility. And my understanding is that for a lot of them, it provides the first structure that they've ever really had in their lives, and just kind of helps them put things together. So I really commend the corrections department for having that program and for the good work that you've done for so many young men.
Thank you, Madam.
For so many years.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. The one thing I would ask is that you keep in mind this release. It really does affect our community and our sister community, Virginia Gardens, as much as you can to make sure that that the persons that are released from the facility are taken somewhere and not loitering and wandering into our area, because it really is substantial, has a substantial effect on, our communities on an ongoing basis when you're talking about so many releases and that's 7 days a week, right?
That's correct.
Right. All right. Thank you again so much. And we're very happy to know that Metro West is going to be the new site of a beautiful, long overdue for pretrial. The pretrial detention center was like, it's amazing it was still standing, right?
Yeah, it's time for it to go.
Yes.
Well, look, I frequent the Harvest Moon, so I wanted to make sure I could come back to Miami Springs.
Thank you, Director Junior. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. Informative. Okay, so the next presentation of a certificate for Sharon Ragunan, and I'll let William, should I read that or you? This is I'll let you go ahead and explain it, but this is a real honor.
A presentation from Sharon Ragunan. She's the FCCA MA District 5 Director, recognizing the city of Miami Springs on the city's anniversary of becoming an ICMA. ICMA is an organization that has been around for how many years, Sharon? Been a while.
Come on up.
Nice as
Please.
the city's council manager form of government. So Sharon.
Thank you. And you can remove your mask if you
Thank
want
you.
when
I
you
will.
speak.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Certainly the presentation by Director Junior is a really difficult presentation to follow, but certainly insightful. I learned a lot from that. So I wish you all well on that program that they're coming up with. And, thank you again. I appreciate it. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, City Manager, and the residents of Miami Springs. Yes, my name is Sharon Ragunan. I guess some people stumble on that, but I always say the best way to remember it is like ragu, spaghetti sauce, and naan, the Indian bread. And most people then know how to pronounce it correctly after that. And yes, I am the District Director for Florida City County Management Association. And I'm here to present you with a certificate. On behalf of FCCMA, we're certainly privileged to present the city of Miami Springs with a certificate celebrating 2021 as your 65th year as a council manager form of government as recognized by the International City County Management Association. On behalf of the officers, the board of directors, and the membership of FCCMA, we offer you our sincere congratulations on what we consider a milestone achievement. The council manager form of government was created to help separate administration from direct political influence and establish merit-based practices within local government. It's modeled after a corporation's framework where you have your voters as the stockholders. They then select a commission, which you serve as like their board of directors. And then you appoint a manager who serves as your professional executive to advise the council and implement its actions through ordinances and policies. In Florida, nearly 70% of all 411 cities, towns, and villages operate under the council manager form of government. And of the 67 counties in the state, all but 2 are professionally managed. Miami Springs is recognized as a champion of the council manager form of government, where you have a city council that works together to establish the public policies that are in the best interest of your stakeholders, which is evident in your mission to provide leadership and direction for the city, assure the present and future fiscal integrity of your municipal government, represent the short and long-term interests of the city, promote quick, courteous responses to your residents' concerns. We also believe Miami Springs is fortunate to have FCCMA member and ICMA credential manager, William Alonzo, leading your city. With over 11 years of local government and leadership experience, who is credentials as a certified public accountant and a certified government finance officer, and a decorated United States Army veteran. Thank you for your service, sir.
She is.
William is respected by professionals around the county, the state, and our country as someone who maintains the highest integrity and ethics and is always willing to promote this community while helping those cities in need of assistance. William leads a city team committed to providing the highest quality of life possible to the residents of Miami Springs and concentrating on being at the heart of it all. On behalf of FCCMA and all the other council manager communities within our county and the state of Florida, we congratulate the city of Miami Springs on this milestone achievement of being a council manager community for 65 years. And at this time, I would like to present the city council and the manager with this important certificate. Thank you for your time.
Very much for being here and for, I think we all share the comments of the council manager relationship that we have with an excellent city manager and assistant city manager that help run the city. Let's go to the front and
Wanna come down and
with
take a picture?
the whole
Thank you
council.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Like I tell him, my city manager is better than his.
Wherever you like. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I shake everybody's hands, of course, but I understand. But thank you so much. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Taking the time to explain the council manager system.
Thank you so much. And that's part of
An honor and about this form of government.
Thank you. And that's part of one of the objectives of doing these presentations is also to inform and educate our. Yes.
Explain the other forms of there's a strong mayor.
There's a strong mayor
and
and
what's the other? So there's 3 general. And
right. There's the mayor, council manager, as well as the strong mayor. For example, the strong mayor is where the mayor is elected and is the head of the government, whereas here you have the council manager. So the 2 work together. So while you elect your commission, your city manager, and whoever other your charter officers are, they're then appointed by the elected body, and then they work together to make sure that they provide you with the highest level of services here to ensure that your welfare and your safety is protected. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you
everybody.
so much for being
Very
here.
much.
Okay, the next agenda item, and I wanted to, we have a recognition of Marcos Alvarez, our featured artist of the month. Is Marcus here?
Yep.
Is
Come on up, Marcus.
Marcus, there you are. Okay.
He is.
It's been a long time that we've been able to have art in public places, but it's a great opportunity to just enjoy and admire the art of persons that contribute to our community, that either live in our community or otherwise work in our community. And Marcus, I'd like you to just explain a little bit about your work.
Thank you. So first and foremost, I want to thank the city for the opportunity to share my work here with, everybody who works down City Hall and anyone who happens to visit City Hall any day of the week. This is the place that inspired my artworks, Miami Springs, the natural environment here. It's a residential neighborhood, but we have our little pockets of nature here and there. And when I walk around Miami Springs or ride my bike, anytime that I find some inspiration, I make art that, highlights those little pockets. So I want to thank you for supporting the arts in our community and enriching our lives in, any moment that we can do that.
We couldn't support it if it wasn't for people like you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If it's okay with the council, I'd like to ask permission to move, since we have, 11B, item 11B, which is the resolution for the naming of the Women's Club Way. Is it Parkway?
Yep.
Since we have the ladies here from the Women's Club and they've been patiently waiting, and I don't want to make them have to stay till the end of the meeting.
Absolutely, Mayor.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Ladies, come on up and we'll,
Mayor,
yes.
this is quite loud. Last week I didn't have one. Tonight it's a very loud one. As far as this item, just if we can make sure that if there's any public comments on this item before we vote on it, that would be great. And then we can continue with
Okay.
the rest of the
All right,
agenda in
thank
public
you.
forum.
All right. So William, do you want to explain what the item is?
Yes, this is a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Miami Springs, Florida, co-designating the portion of Park Street between Westwood Drive and Hibiscus Drive as Miami Springs Women's Club Way, providing for authorization and providing for an effective date. You remember this was an item that was discussed at the last meeting, and council unanimously moved to bring a resolution to you for this meeting to get this done.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wants to speak in regards to this? You can speak for it also, if you'd like. Juanita,
Juanita.
I think that, after, since 1939.
come on up to the,
Come on up.
Since the Miami Springs Women's Club has been in effect and started in City Hall in 1939, that I think it's appropriate that we have a recognition of our street.
Nice.
And then everybody will notice our clubhouse across the street.
Nice.
okay,
Thank you very
wonderful.
much for considering it.
Thank you, Juanita.
Thank you. I'll take a motion.
So,
Motion to move the item.
Move.
second.
Okay, discussion. I just wanted to say again that the Women's Club is, this is long overdue, and Lisa is the one that brought it to our attention, the suggestion, and I think it's just so befitting, especially since this club does so much for our community, but also holds the, every time there's a campaign coming up, they do this on their own. They're not required to, but they hold the campaign forums for our community to get to know the people that are running for elected office here. And that's just one of many, many civic projects and ways that they benefit our community. So,
For the
okay.
chair, Mayor, I think you should take some humble credit for this too, because you were the one that brought this to the agenda.
Well, and we happen to have 2 Women's Club members on the council and a husband of a Women's Club member. So I think in this case, the club is well represented. Okay. Take the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes. Motion passes. All right. And then I'm sure our staff, William or his staff will be contacting you to arrange the actual date once we have the sign ready and everything.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye now.
We need a picture.
Oh, my God,
Oh.
yes, absolutely. I'm so sorry, Linda. You are absolutely right with the whole council. Yes.
Boy.
Does the council know?
Right.
Oh, remember you said that to me last meeting?
Yeah.
Linda. There's a former president who nobody knows with her.
Nobody has this.
Yeah, can we take our masks off for the picture? Hope everybody's. I think you're getting 23. Thank you
for everything you do for our community.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Maria.
Everything y'all do for our community.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is the open forum. And I have two persons that are signed up to speak at the open forum. I just wanted to mention that the purpose of the open forum is to encourage residents and other members of the public to have the opportunity to address the council at one time at a public meeting. However, the council will not respond to the issues brought up at the public forum or questions addressed to us during the public forum because they're not on the agenda. So sometimes if you present, you're speaking to us and you just see after you finish, we're all okay, thank you. It's because the public forum is just designed for you to be able to address us. But if you have any questions about things after the meeting or the day after, you just contact the staff and they can help follow up with you on the issues that you raised or the concerns you raised. And also, we're going to be limiting the public forum. We're going to ask everyone to limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes for brevity so that everyone has an opportunity to speak and we can get on with the agenda items also. So the first person on the public forum to speak is Kathy Doyle.
Okay, this is just really quick because I'm talking on behalf of a lot of us who have spoken over the past 2 meetings about the hashtag One Nation on the circle on the Curtis Mansion. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the people because over the last week I've either texted or called because one of the concerns was what happens next, and there was a recommendation that we see boards. And so I just want to thank, I'm not going to go through the whole procedure, but I want to thank the Code Compliance Office, Mr. Romero from the City Manager's Office, Councilman Vasquez, Councilman Best, okay, for all the people that responded to me in one way, shape, or form. And I know we have had Councilman Fahet and our city manager respond in writing to several people. And, but I want to thank Maria Mitchell because finally I had a conversation that assured me that she has addressed the issue and she's asked our city manager and in consultation with our lawyer to please look at the whole issue of hashtags and to come up with some kind of policy. Okay, and that makes us all feel better, I think, that we have been addressed because we didn't know what we were supposed to do next. And some of the committee meetings don't have public forums. And we found out that one of the boards that was recommended doesn't meet. So it was a little frustrating. So thank you. Okay. I also just want to reiterate the concern because I checked today, 4 million hits on the One.Nation hashtag, 4 million. Okay. Crazy. So, excuse me, 400 million, 400 million. All right, so we are still providing, whether we want to or not, inadvertently or not, we are still providing free advertising for political extremist groups and others on the current signs that are on our parkway. So I'm really hoping, okay, that we come up with a policy that that will just not be happening in the future on our public land, because there's no, as far as anybody can determine, nobody has been able to come up with a really good reason why we need hashtags on public property in the city of Miami Springs. They advertise publicity for political groups, for businesses, for companies. We're not any of those things. So let's make sure that from now on that we are representing no special interest groups, just us, okay, on our sides. And thank you for your undivided attention and your patience. I'll shut up.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Kathy.
Kathy.
Okay, and I forgot to put on my glasses. Carol, Gordon?
I was going to speak to the same issue she just talked about, which is the flags on Curtis Parkway. She just mentioned that you have spoken about the issue and there's a possibility of a solution. I just think that the flags, as it is, should remain. The flags will be down after July 4th. It is May now. Objections should have been raised before this late in the project. Citizens have invested their money and time. The flag is a symbol of the US. It belongs to everyone who loves this country and anyone else. During times of crisis as 9/11, everyone flew the flag. We are united during crisis, and it matters not who flies the flag. What better place to fly the flag than on public property? A flag that belongs to everyone on land that belongs to everyone. The hashtag, as a matter of fact, I thought the hashtag meant one nation under God. That was my thought. I could have been wrong. I think as citizens, we have a responsibility to be present at council meetings. If we are present, we can be a part of the discussion before decisions are made. Think of a horse race. We must make decisions before the race has started. It is not easy to stop the race once the horses are at the gate. Again, I believe the flag issue can be debated next year. We have bigger issues to debate. The building at the circle should have been completed by now. What is the status? Can the developer report to us, the citizens, about the project in our town? Can we, the citizens, get an update from the developer at council meeting? This is something I heard about, and I'm talking about it now before we start to vote. Exercise stations. I've heard about exercise stations. I personally would ask that no exercise stations be added to the walkway on Curtis. It is just that, a walkway. It is a beautiful piece of property with trees overlapping, birds, butterflies, squirrels to enjoy, and a beautiful view of the golf course, a piece of heaven on earth. If folks seriously want to exercise, there's a gym at the rec center, one at the senior center, and one at Hook Square. The beautiful piece of property should be left intact if it means more concrete. And thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Okay, that is the end of our public forum of persons that were signed up to speak at the public forum. The next agenda item will be approval of the council minutes.
Through the chair, motion to move the item.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? I do have one item that I wanted to ask to be corrected on the minutes.
Of
On the
April,
last page.
of April 26th.
Yes, of April 26th,
Go ahead.
yes.
Go ahead.
On the last page, the comment, it's speaking as to what I mentioned during discussion. And it says that I addressed the hedges on private property and the need to regulate the height of the hedges due to safety issues. I said the need to enforce our current ordinances. I'm not proposing new regulations. I said just the need to enforce our current ordinances on hedge height.
Through the chair, motion to move based on that adjustment.
Second?
A second.
All right. Erica, take the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez,
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes. Reports, the next agenda item is reports from boards and commissions, and those are none. And then we go on to agenda item 8A, public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on, do we need to read the ordinance
Yeah.
first? Okay, sorry.
No worries.
The ordinance first,
This
sorry.
is an ordinance of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, amending Section 35-53, contributions of the Police and Fireman Pension Plan of the city's Code of Ordinances pertaining to monthly retirement benefits, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. This is an ordinance on second reading, and so we can have a public hearing. And I'm sure the manager can explain the details of the effects of this.
Yes, Mayor and Council, as we discussed at the first hearing, this is an item that was part of the union contract that was negotiated and passed by council last year, which has two parts. The retirement one took effect October 1st of last year. This particular one takes effect October 1st of 2021, and it's basically raising the multiplier for new officers hired after 2014 from 2.5 to 3.
Okay, public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this item? I don't have anyone signed up, but I'll open it up if anyone wishes to speak on this. All right, then we close the public hearing, and I'll accept the motion.
Through the chair, motion to move item 8A, excellent ordinance.
Second.
Discussion? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez,
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes. Item 9, the consent agenda. We don't have anything under that. And we go to item 10, old business update on the 4th of July events.
Yes, Mayor and Council, Omar, if you could come up. You have in your packet an updated list of events for the upcoming 4th of July based on the new information that has come out from the governor's office and from the county. So I'll let Omar and Caitlin explain some of the events that they have worked out for us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Basically, we came up with we kind of wanted to do like a week theme. So we came up with some virtual programs starting like on Monday of that week, which would be Monday, June 28th. So we're doing like a 4th of July memory lane contest. So we're asking people to post a picture on social media and of a previous 4th of July, maybe a couple years ago at the fireworks or at the parade, something like that to kind of bring that back to life with social media. We're doing a 4th of July food recipe on Tuesday. So if anybody has a good barbecue recipe or something they can put on there. So we're doing a couple of different things to kind of get everybody engaged throughout the week. One of the things that we found really cool, which was Denise and Kaylin, I'd give them full credit for this, was a Popsicle Giveaway on Thursday, July 1st. So we're thinking about giving the guys a popsicle that's red, white, and blue, giving those out so they pull up in their cars, they get a popsicle and go on their way. So different things like that throughout the week. And then we created the Saturday, July 3rd, because we wanted to continue through the process. So we thought about maybe doing everything on the 4th, but then we would have that gap on Saturday of nothing. So we said, we'll do something Saturday, then we'll have the aquatics event on Sunday plus the fireworks at night. So we decided to recommend doing the event on July 3rd from 2 to 5, which would have entertainment. We're trying to get a band, DJ, obviously we can get that, food, whether we reach out to a local, whether it's Rotary or the Optimum or something like that, they want to maybe cook the hamburgers and hot dogs and generate some revenue for their organizations, bounce houses, face painters. certain rides, 4th of July goodie bag, things like that. Those are the basics. Obviously, we'll have some things here or there that we might do additional to that, but the basics of the family fun celebration. And then we'll have our pool party, which we've discussed on Sunday, the 4th of July from 12 to 5. We'll have fireworks at night, and we're hoping that the car show will fill in on Friday night or Saturday night to kind of give it like a full week of events and things that we're doing. Obviously, the virtual stuff is not hands-on directly, but it is something that the community participates. We have some people that actually like it. They participate, things like that, and we could post their stuff. People love getting reposted on social media and things like that. So we're hoping that'll kind of start a vibe, and we can continue that for years to come. So that's kind of what we have in mind. And then if you guys have any questions, we're here.
Through the chair, just one, Omar. Thanks for the report. I read that this morning that the 3 things you guys were going to do. The last meeting, if you recall, you were here. I asked if we could arrive at June 1st before making a decision about not doing the parade. And we kind of went back and forth. We really didn't go anywhere with the ultimate on this. Is that still something? Now, we still got a council meeting before June 1.
Well, listen,
and based on what I just said, relative to what the mayor, governor in Tallahassee's done, I mean, this thing could open wide up by then.
It sure could, but having the parade, we've contacted several rental car places and they don't have any vehicles. They've basically told us they could maybe get us some pickup trucks. So we're ready, with our backs against the wall. We can't get the convertibles or nothing like that. It is a long weekend. 4th of July does land on a Sunday this year, so it is a weekend. So getting rental cars for that could change. We've thought about having flatbeds. We have some ideas in place. If we were to consider doing the parade, if you guys will consider it, we can get it done. But I don't know if it'll be the type of parade we've had in the past. We have to consider getting with the police department. Right. We've discussed it vaguely, last week, and they had some concerns about social distancing, the water area, whether we expand it or not. But today's meeting would give us some directive. If you guys want to do that, then.
And if we had it, it would have to be on a Saturday.
That's what I was thinking, William. Yeah,
because Sunday,
that's exactly what I was
people
thinking.
Attending church services Sunday morning, so it would have to be on a Saturday.
Have to be Saturday.
If we do the parade, there's a good chance that event that we'd have planned on Saturday would have to be moved back at a certain capacity.
That could be accommodated.
It can be, but
anyway, I just wanted to mention. I don't want to belabor the point or anything, but
it's possible. But we're looking at an enormous. For us, it's a huge undertaking because we have to have the parade, which is what we had discussed. We have to be here almost at 6, 7 in the morning to coordinate the parade. We were going to start it at 9 instead of 10 because it's extremely hot at 10. It's really bad. Yep. So we're hoping we can get people going at 9, and then most of the time we have to take those rental cars back that same day. So it doesn't give us time to start this event at 2. So this event would start maybe like at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, you type a bunch of staff returning those cars and all that stuff.
That's the problem, Council. Their staff is going to be burnt out from all of these activities going on. And
we work Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 at night, 8 at night, if we have to do the parade, because we have to push that event back. I don't have enough bodies to be able to do the parade, go take the rental cars and have this event start at 2 o'clock. It's impossible. I just don't have them. So what we discussed was if the parade was done, we would go 7 to about 1 o'clock. We'd take a break. We'd eat, we relax, and then we try to kick off the other event like at 5 to 8, something like that. Yeah. So it's a full day for us, which is fine. I mean, they get paid. I'm salary, so it's all good. I haven't had a 4th of July in 20 years, so it doesn't matter. But the reality is that it can be done, but the parade does have, we would need to know, no disrespect, but like now.
Well, again, I bring up only because of the iniquity of it.
Correct.
How many people do parades in Dade County of 34 municipalities? How many?
I think we might be the only one of this. I think Miami Shores might have been the other one, but I don't know.
There again, I leave it out there for my colleagues' consideration for the next meeting.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I love parades, but I have a concern with the with the logistics, right? And I'm a big logistics person, and number 2, we are just coming out of the pandemic, so I think everyone wants to be out and doing things, but I think that there's some logistical issues that we ought to think about and probably take a longer planning time for the city to do this. My concern, in addition to the concerns about logistics, is all the water and the water fights and the kind of taken away from at least the traditional parades I'm used to seeing from the time I was a kid. So, and water is water, but anyway, those are some of the concerns that I have. But the primary concern is to really organize a good, solid, well thought out, with all the vehicles and everything that needs to happen to have a nice long parade. Seems a little challenging.
Well, Councilman Vasquez, it certainly is. But these guys can pull it off. I've seen them do it.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I've been assassinated by water 3 times over the years in a parade. And if it's 95, 94, 95 degrees, boy, it feels good. So I have no problem with that. But
Usually we start planning this for January.
January. January. By this time, it's we have everything as far as the vehicles. They're booked.
Well, let's do this 1 second. Does everyone in agreement with what Omar has presented so far?
Yes.
Not counting the parade.
Yes, I do.
The events.
We're
Absolutely.
giving you the okay with that to make sure that
Yep.
we're clear on that.
Yep.
Everyone's in agreement with that. With the fireworks,
That's the third.
when I looked at this, I didn't see it on here. I
It's on there.
just probably missed it.
Yep.
That we can cancel up to 2 weeks.
A little
Before?
bit further down.
Yeah, that should be in
That's
the
on, okay, I
contract. Yeah,
just, I'll take
yeah.
your word. Okay.
Which I think is one of the following
item.
items.
This is
Yeah.
the next item.
Okay, all right. Okay, so that's clear. And so now let's continue with the parade.
Through the
Well,
chair?
Through the chair, my only thought here is that if I can draw your indulgence to my colleagues, my good colleagues, till the meeting of the 24th, to make a final decision. We don't know what the county's going to do. We don't know what the state's going to do. We don't know what this virus is going to do. Now, if there's a concern and numbers aren't right, I'm totally with you. Don't do it. But if these improvements are in place, and this is pretty well opened up, I'll leave that with you.
Through the chair, if you don't mind. So, I was under a different impression. My impression from the last time we talked about this is that the recommendation from staff was that we not do the parade. And then I kind of bellyached a little bit about like, well, can we do something if we're not going to do a parade? So, and maybe I'm wrong, but that was my impression, that you were going to come back with something. And I think that this is great and it's creative, and I'm happy to see that there's even the opportunity the car show comes back. I don't think it's fair to that. Now, full disclosure, I don't like parades. I don't like parades and clowns. Sorry, I'm weird like that, but that's just me. But I appreciate that people love parades, and my son likes parades. I'm not a big parade guy, but I feel like it should be one or the other. Like I don't think it's fair to them, because again, the impression I got is that the recommendation was that we not do the parade, and then I kind of said like, guys, come on, can we do something? And so they came up with this creative thing. So
Right.
I feel like if we're going to do the parade, then we shouldn't do the family fun celebration. And if we do, I think we should do one or the other, because I don't think it's fair for them to run those two different events.
I think you got the
Honestly.
chronology to do the whole thing, including the parade. Now, will it burn staff? Sure. Have they done it before? For like how many years?
I don't think they've done all of this
Yes.
before.
Well, they used to have something over at the golf course after the parade.
Correct.
Which would equal what you're doing at Prince Field.
No, with all due respect, I got rid of it because it was terrible. Because we couldn't staff it. That's why I got rid of it. Because we literally had, and she would tell you, we had 4 seasonal summer staff members there holding down the fort, because we just didn't have enough bodies to run that event. So I got rid of it, because I was like, this, I'm not going to put on an event that's going to be.
That's why it stopped at the golf course.
Yeah, that's why I cut it out, because I was like, it made us look bad. People would go there like, what's going on here? Like, it was just terrible. So I cut it, because everybody that's full-time has to drive those vehicles. I can't have a seasonal staff member drive those cars back. The rental cars under our insurance. So it's got to be me, Danny, Kaylin, Patty, Denise. It's got to be all our full-timers, James, Dean. So then that leaves me with an event with nobody there.
Right.
And it takes us, honestly, like 40, 45 minutes to take those cars back, because we got to sign them in. They got to inspect them. We got to sign them all. It's not like, here you go, take 8 Mustangs and boom, we're gone. So dynamically, Yeah, we used to do that event. Yeah, I got rid of it because it was bad and it was setting us up for failure. So I got rid of it. So that's where, could we do it? Yeah, of course we could do it. We can make anything happen. But the reality is that it's gonna be a long day.
I think you went back, Omar, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you went back after you nailed that at the golf course. You went back to the thing with the afternoon event leading up to fireworks.
Yeah,
after the parade.
What we did is we switched it to the aquatic center.
Aquatic, yes.
But that's different because then now the lifeguards and that.
Well, you got some help. You got some bodies.
Yeah, I'm able to have two different operations there. That
And you have the entertainment provided with the pool.
Right.
You don't have.
And even then, it overlaps a little bit. There's some staff that overlaps.
Sure.
So
I just want to mention something as far as the cars. As someone who has rented cars this past year several times, I can tell you the car companies have liquidated a lot of their inventory, and car rentals are much, much more expensive than they've been in the past, and they're not available. So even the idea of, us getting all the convertibles like we've gotten in the past may not be possible because the cars aren't there, or it may be exorbitantly expensive.
Yeah. We have thought outside the box in case this was discussed. We were prepared for this. Me and Kayla have talked about the parade almost every day just in case it happens. So we've thought about getting flatbed trucks. I know Public Works has one. We've even considered maybe, if we could rent, like they have like F-150s and stuff like that, they might be able to rent to us, but but the reality is that everybody tells us, you got to tell us now. You got to tell us because everybody's running out. So everybody, the little bit of contacts we have, they turn around, they're like, you got to give us something. If you want to reserve 5 or 6, F-150s or Dodge Rams, you got to tell us.
It's funny through the chair. It's funny you bring this up because I heard a piece on NPR the other day about car rentals, and I have not heard anybody say anything about this outside of that piece I heard until now about you can't get rental cars.
Okay, it's been, and
I forgot where it was, San Diego or somewhere in California. What's happening is people are going to rent a car, and they have no cars. So what they're doing now, instead of going to the car rental agencies, they're going to like, U-Haul and stuff, and they're renting U-Hauls. And the point was of the piece, but there's all these U-Hauls at the beach and everything. Everybody's going, what? What's those? And it's people renting a U-Haul because it's cheaper than renting a car, and or a car isn't even available.
We even thought about getting the golf carts, but then I'm taking away 12, 15 golf carts from
the golf
Paul on one of his busy days.
No, you can't do that.
So I'm saying we thought about many options, but then we would come up with something that doesn't so we have some ideas, but I'll be very honest with you, it won't be the same parade we've had in years past. It just won't.
Mayor,
can't guarantee that.
Two quick things here, and I apologize because I know Councilwoman Bravo has been trying to get it, but I feel like there's two things that we should try to avoid because I think it would be unfair. I think it would be unfair to make Omar's staff have to do both the afternoon event and the parade, and I think that it's only fair for us to decide tonight which one of the two. That's just my thinking on that. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Omar.
Nope.
All right. So me thinking as a mom, as a resident, definitely I agree with Walter. I think we're just too pressed for time, and just because we're a little bit more free now to do what we want, I don't think we should just jam pack our weekend with a variety of things. The whole point to plan is to have a successful event and something that we can execute with a clear vision. One idea I had, I don't know if it can be implemented maybe for next year, is where you can maybe have a sign up for the residents to sign up their car with restrictions. So it would be an application, things that they have to abide by, what they can, what they cannot do, and they could dress up their car and limit it to certain things. Just like, when you go to school and you have a fun Friday, you can wear a t-shirt, but it can't say certain things. Just keep it to red, white, and blue, patriotic, nothing that would offend anybody, but it would get the whole Miami Springs together and fix up their cars really nice. And then we don't have to rent any cars. If anybody has antique cars that they will want to sign up, they go ahead and they put their tag. If, they can get an infraction if they do something wrong while they're trailing on the, what do you call this? The parade. So it keeps it more within line, and they know that they have to follow the guidelines, because if not, they're going to be ticketed.
Correct.
But I think it would be a fun way to get our community together to do a joint venture, a very nice thing for without the expenses of having to rent anything or any cars.
Well, the rental cars are for you guys and city administration.
Oh, for us. I'll find someone to
They're not
let
for the
us,
residents, really.
Each council person gets one car, then there's one for the manager.
Yeah,
I'll go on my bike.
Marshal.
And the Grand Marshal.
There's about 7 or 8 Mustangs that we usually
Yeah, and they're backed by noon to the rental agency, usually.
Now, that is what Councilwoman
Pretty U-Haul,
Bravo was suggesting is kind of in line with what we were doing or allowing for, say, the high school when, the seniors couldn't have a graduation. So they would have kind of a caravan, I think we're calling it, right, through the Miami Springs, and cars could, decorate and others could.
We do allow residents to participate.
So perhaps that, Councilman Best, I don't think that there's much, because I'm not sure that would be so much you as having our police department kind of lead. You meet at a certain place. Correct me if I'm wrong, William, when, say, the high school had the caravans.
Yeah, they had the graduation.
Right.
What you're talking about is having people have their own 4th of July.
Well, in
caravan.
line with what Councilwoman Bravo was suggesting of, so there's no real, just if anyone wants to have a caravan for, an hour, they go through a designated area of Miami Springs. I'm not, I'm just saying that that's more in line with what's been happening with the pandemic. And that I'm guessing wouldn't take a lot of.
I mean, if we
planning.
could come up to a consensus now, I think that's actually a great idea. We could do it where we open up to residents, where we say we have 40 spots, let's say, just for argument's sake, or 30 spots. And the first 30 or 40 residents that register with these guidelines and decorate their vehicles can be part of the parade. And then that doesn't put us in any predicament, and you guys would have to decorate your cars and
or 5 U-Hauls.
Or 5 U-Hauls. Or we could do what Hialeah does. They have a big boat on a trailer, and we would put you guys on a boat. Okay.
Right.
She's a boss. She tells me yes or no.
I got a vote.
So, but that's not a bad idea. We could maybe do something like that.
Into a city event.
Yeah, and
And I think what they're talking about is just having the residents do their own thing, like they did the graduation.
But in that case, we did have the police escort. Is that correct?
There was for one of them. I remember that.
Correct.
So it would involve, because there has to be some semblance of order and, so I would say we'd have to probably have a police escort in the front and in the back, and perhaps, so there's a cost involved with that. But I'm guessing as far as what Omar is saying of you need, time to prepare, and I totally understand. And I think one of the issues with the parade, what makes it fun is the participation. I know in the past years, what I've heard from a lot of residents is, we wish there was more like marching bands and, and
parade. Oh, yeah,
yes.
No, the high school.
And I know that's difficult to get because, there's not, the kids are busy during that time and it's the summer.
The marching bands don't come back because they get soaked with water.
Yeah. And their instruments get soaked.
If you want to be 100%.
Our last parade 2 years ago, the high school band was, and they led, if you remember.
Yeah, and they told us that they probably wouldn't come back.
And they told you
They'll
what
come back.
That they probably wouldn't come back.
Okay.
They didn't have a
They
band.
loved that.
No clowns. I vote for no clowns.
No, I don't like clowns. Any?
There's no band.
Oh, sorry. Kathy Doyle just informed me that
I just don't find them funny. At all.
Is anybody else have any more comments?
Yeah, I just don't want us
Okay,
to
so let's
forget
take a
about,
motion.
again, I don't want us to forget the iniquity of the parade in Miami Springs. I think this is like, we're standalone in doing this on the 4th of July.
Okay, so does anyone have a motion on where we direct Omar and his staff on this?
Well, for discussion, and I'll make a motion, for discussion, I would like to say to you that even if we don't make a decision until the 24th, you're going to get 30, 40 people who are going to just jump in there and want to be part of that parade in the 11th hour. It'll happen. Again, err on the side of caution. If the pandemic doesn't warrant it, and on the 24th we say, that would be my motion, Mayor.
You're saying the 24th of May?
Yep, our next meeting.
Okay.
And it'll still give us, 6 weeks to make a decision on it, and that's plenty. May 24th?
Right.
To the 4th of July?
Oh, I thought
Thank
you
you,
were
sir.
talking to me now on the phone.
No.
If the problem is, like Omar said, If you want a parade, we have to know now because I don't know in 2 weeks what
These
kind
2 weeks
of.
are valuable planning
Yeah,
time.
Well, can we, is there any way to, I don't know, that we can just give it some more thought? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't, I'm not a seer. I can't sit here and say, oh God, this is going to happen in 6 weeks. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, how about I motion that we approve this, but replace the family fun celebration with the parade, and let's see.
You know, I like that. Walter, that was very creative. I'll second that if that's.
So
You
let's
got it.
see who's in favor. I don't even like parades, but let's just make a
Second
decision.
that.
was,
All right, discussion. Any more discussion on this? So to be clear, well, let's clarify what the motion is.
So the
You're
motion is that we approve the festivities as per
Omar's
Omar's recommendations, but we replace C, which is the family fun celebration that was the afternoon event. And rather than that, on that day, we do the parade.
Right.
Well, how about if we leave it that at the next meeting, if Omar comes back to us and says the parade's just not feasible, then we.
Then we
Is that giving you too
We
much?
can take that recommendation.
To the
from-
chair?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Omar, ideally, how much time do you need?
To put on the parade?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to use your idea and go with that. I don't think we have time to get like other people like we used to. I just don't. I would probably lean on having the community participate, where they decorate their own cars under certain guidelines. They would meet on Esplanade like we usually do, and we run it just like that. Keep it very simple. That alleviates an enormous amount of workload for us. We won't have to be chasing down classic car shows. We'll call them, but we've contacted them and they're very hesitant about it. A lot of people are like, I don't know. So it's kind of like, it's hard to get commitment from people. But if we could say something like, hey, we have 30 spots. You have to be a resident. You have to decorate your vehicle. You could bring people, whether it's a truck, a golf cart, no ATVs, no motorcycles, nothing like that. We'll try to contact, different people, see if we can have music. We'll do our best, but there are no guarantees. This is something that we start planning in January. It is the middle of May.
I know.
The other thing we're going to have to consider is the wet zone, dry zone. If you remember 2 years ago during the parade, there was an accident in the wet zone.
We fell under
and we know what happens is that wet zone is such a small area. And believe it or not, the bulk of the people that come to a parade
are there
for the wet zone.
Yeah.
Right.
And in those, what was it, 2 or 3 blocks?
Yeah.
It was tons of people. Tons of people. So what we said, if we ever do this again, this wet zone, we have to expand it.
Yeah.
So that all these people aren't bunched together. In
Pinecrest, Morningside, that area right in there. Yeah.
But then you have to be careful with Fairhavens.
The reason we
Can't
did
expand it too
that
much.
area is
Although the other
because-
side, though.
No, they bring them. They
bring their
them
seniors
over,
across.
the parade. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to start right at the corner of where Azure Way is, basically.
Right.
Anyway, I applaud Councilman Fahet in his creativity in doing this, and he's got my second.
Okay. What is the motion?
I'm like you.
No, I'm
That's
lost.
because I'm not sure
To be
what
honest
we're
with you.
voting on here. Okay,
Clarification.
so the parade, are we voting on the caravan idea? For the most part, just designating, and I guess we have to go through, is the chief still here to make sure that that's feasible, right? Because of the caravan idea of allowing, inviting residents to dress up their cars and, we'll go down.
And be
West
part of the
Drive.
parade from Esplanade to the golf course.
and
Yeah,
then-
we'll
and then
run it. We'll run
End
it.
of it, people
Yeah.
can ride their bikes or walk or
Right.
whatever.
We'll
too.
run it. We'll have,
Hopefully
the-
not alongside the vehicles because that is
Right.
recipe
Correct.
for
And
disaster.
we
It
would
has
have
to
to
be.
bring our own vehicle, right?
Correct. We would run it. We'll have CPO out there with the flags. We can get some Border Patrol to help out, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts.
That kind
We
of thing,
could
but
do
a
things like that. Very community.
homespun,
Correct. But getting vehicles, I think
No.
what Councilman Bravo said was smart. It's an easy way for us to get the residents to participate and provide a service without us having to do it.
And
Less.
what I'm understanding is the city's not renting flatbeds, convertibles, or anything. You're not renting. It's if any of us want to participate,
On our own.
either walk, we ride our bike, or we get our own car and decorate it, and that way it alleviates the pressure on you of trying to,
It would be a
define
nice
staff.
community feel. Obviously, you guys will organize it where everybody's lined up and you guys will go in the front. And
At the end of the day, really, and the reason I'm pushing this, and I thank Councilman Fahed for recognizing this, I don't want to see this tradition go away. Just because we lost it last year and here we are again, not doing it again this year, is too unique for that. This is too unique. A 4th of July parade in Miami-Dade County is very unique. And we're the only, if maybe one other municipality, I think might do one, but that's it.
Mayor, quick
Bob,
question.
you own a pickup truck, don't you?
I do.
You want to what?
You go a little fit behind.
Yeah, we can go in it back. Yeah, I got a 250. We could all fit back
Somebody
there.
could ride in my
Put
pickup
up a
truck
barbecue and,
yeah,
we could.
I have a question for Omar. I know that in the past, certain organizations like the Rotary that I'm in do they get any preference? I mean, because if it's like first 30 in, does that mean that they've got to like?
No, what we'll do is work out the numbers, and that's a great question, to where we have a certain amount of number that's allocated to residents, and then we'll have spots reserved already for people like organizations like that, or the Optimist,
Right.
or maybe if Little League wants to put a couple of
Right,
trucks in.
right.
things
Yeah, I
like
wouldn't
that. So
want them
we'll
to miss out on the
Correct,
opportunity.
correct. So we'll have a certain amount of spots that will be, for community organizations, staff, et cetera, and then a couple of 20 or 30 spots open for general public residents. Stuff like that.
It's through the chair. That's going to free up your staff if we eliminate that other thing in the afternoon too, right?
Not really. We still got to work the parade. Still got to work it.
I'm out of here. Come on.
No, we still have to work it. I mean, even if we get police involved, like the caravan, police is gonna count on us to help them out. That's how we work. It's just we're a small city.
I know. I'm
it's all
talking
hands
about the
on deck.
other
We gotta
event.
do it.
The other event.
He's going to have to be, you have to obviously advertise it, get the names, coordinate,
Right.
so I know that that's a huge
And
amount of work
we
for you,
have to
but
pick a grand marshal.
a grand marshal.
We'll figure that out.
We'll worry
That's
about
easy.
that.
That's easy.
There's time for
That's easy.
Okay, so can we go ahead and,
You got a motion and a
yeah,
second,
do
Mayor.
we need to clarify what the motion is?
Yes.
Then could you, either
Sure.
Vice Mayor or
What
Councilman?
was Walt's? I
Okay,
seconded it.
so I guess the motion was to approve all of these festivities as delineated here, with the exception of we would replace the family fun celebration, which is item C on the itinerary, and replace it with the our new idea
Community
for the
parade.
morning parade.
And we probably need to revise the name of the parade, someone to suggest to people that it's not a typical parade. It's,
Correct. Right.
you know,
do that.
some,
You got a
figure
second.
out some word to get that across.
So you-
Caravan
we have a
parade
second.
or whatever.
You got a second, Mayor.
Okay, great. All right, call the vote. Any just more discussion? We're
You're
done.
calling it a caravan?
Or, well, I'm leaving it up to
I'm-
Omar to decide, but
I'm
not,
having a hard
just to
time here
clarify that
because
it's not our typical parade.
Voting
for-
on too many things at one time.
Erica, call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez,
No.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
Thanks, Omar.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Um,
Oh, the fireworks.
okay.
I had a question. Is it too late to ask Omar?
No, go ahead.
Through the chair, I had one question. I'm sorry, Omar, you're not done yet. I noticed that there were two proposals for the fireworks that all were both the same price, but the shell counts were different. Am I missing
I don't know.
something?
Maybe they sent us that. I think what Allison does is that Allison allows me to kind of pick a fireworks show.
Okay.
At the end of the day, they're the same price, and then she kind of like tells me which one she thinks is better.
Okay,
I lean on them,
I'll
but-
let you use your judgment. I just didn't know if that was something that needed a decision, but it seems like it's the same price.
It's the same price.
And also, are we still getting a contribution from our neighbors
Yeah, go ahead.
towards the fireworks? Yes. Thank you, Omar.
Councilman, anything to clarify? There's two backup items in the agenda. And I think that this was because at the last meeting, there was discussion about making sure that we have the same provisions that we had last year applied in this year's contract. So what you're seeing is there's a contract from last year for July 4th, 2020. And there is a contract for this year.
Okay, I see.
So I'll leave the shell count issue to Omar. But as far as the agreement, and I'll just address this now since we're on it. We did an addendum to the contract the same way we did last year. That provides that what you'll be doing is making a 50% deposit on or before July 1st. So you have until July 1st to make your deposit. And then the remaining balance is going to be due on July 4th. And that's what we did last year. In addition, we also did an addendum that provides that if for whatever reason the show is canceled, then the city is going to be responsible for certain fees like the permit, the fire watch, etc., in an amount not to exceed $615.
With the 2-week provisioning, right?
I'm sorry?
A 2-week provisioning, I think it was on right?
A 2-week?
Yes.
We have 2 weeks that we get canceled.
To cancel.
Right.
You can cancel up to 2 weeks
W-
before.
It's just if the show is canceled in general.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It's just broadly worded.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good.
Yeah, good point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're looking for a motion, Mary, you got one.
I think we already did, right?
We did.
Read the rest. Are we on 11A?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
We're moving on to 11A. I
okay,
think we
yes,
need to
yes,
read the
okay.
resolution title.
This is a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Miami Springs, Florida, approving a contract and a contract addendum with Fireworks Displays Unlimited LLC, Fireworks Displays Unlimited Inc. for the city's 2021 4th of July fireworks display in an amount not to exceed $16,000, waiving competitive bidding procedures, providing for authorization, and providing for an effective date. This requires a 4/5 vote per section 31-11 E6 G of the city code.
Through the chair, Haiti, can I ask you a question? I've seen this on an agenda item.
The
The parentheses. No, the parentheses, addendum at the bottom, in it.
I think that's
Can you
just
explain, why?
that's what the code provides.
I know what it provides, but why?
I don't know why it was drafted that way. That was well before my time, but clearly it was the city council's intent.
Could have been 40 years ago.
Who knows? I don't off the top of my head, I don't have when it was
Think about the
adopted.
gravity of the issue here, and why it's 4-5, you know?
I think that depending on what the sitting council is, there's certain feelings towards waivers of competitive bid. I think personally that in a small city like this, there's a lot of times where you need a waiver of competitive bid process because it really just isn't efficient to undergo an extensive procurement process, especially when our neighboring cities or situations like this where you've had a vendor for several years and they continue to provide good service at a good price that's competitive, and we know it. So I think the waiver process is especially beneficial in a smaller city, but
You can always argue the lowest bid, and nobody can argue with that, right?
I think we can always argue.
Well, you're an attorney, of course we can.
Okay, motion to move on this item?
Motion to move the resolution.
Second.
That.
All right, discussion? Call the vote?
Vice Mayor Best. Councilwoman Bravo.
Yes.
Councilman Behet.
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
11B.
Yes, Mayor and Council. The annual Stafford Golf Tournament this year will take place on Friday, June 11th. This date also marks the 30th anniversary of Officer Charles Stafford ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty for our city. Each year, the council budgets $2,000 towards this event. Lieutenant Gurney, who is the tournament coordinator, has requested, and I've attached her memo to my my agenda item, that council consider increasing the amount this year by an additional $3,000 for a total city contribution of $5,000. This will allow the tournament to add more amenities in order to make this year's event greater than prior years, and in honor of his 30th anniversary. Funds are available in council's event budget.
Through the chair, William, where are we right now with, I guess this is the first item that we've really tapped into.
Into the city events, yeah.
So an additional 3,000 over the two, right? That's what we're saying. Okay. Motion to move the item there.
Second?
Is it open for discussion?
Well, we have to have a second first.
Oh.
And then we.
Second.
Oh.
Want a second?
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry, I thought you, I heard second.
I did too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who did second?
Oh, I.
She was calling for a second. but
Yes,
I
so we
heard,
can
I thought,
discuss it.
I thought it was
Sorry,
Bravo
I
that had
thought
seconded.
Councilwoman Bravo seconded. Okay.
Okay, so do we have a second on this?
Yes,
Sec-
second.
Okay,
Councilman Vasquez.
thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. All right, discussion.
So then, and I misread this when I read it the first time. I thought it was that they were asking for 3,000, so that it would be 1,000 more than the 2,000 that we were already budgeting for the event. I just so I guess the assumption is that this is being done because it's the 30-year anniversary of the tragedy with Officer Stafford. But outside of trying to get Sebastian the Ibis and the photo booth for participants, and it says additional food and beverages. I was wondering what else, kind of what the extra $3,000 was going to be. I'm assuming they want to make this a noteworthy event, but I had some questions about what they were getting, since they're asking for an additional 3,000, which is more than the.
Well, aside from Ibis and some of the other things that they usually have buy or get donated, in some cases, some gifts and gift cards and all that they raffle off.
Right.
Remember,
Oh,
all the
gosh.
money they generate from here.
Sure, it goes to the
Sure.
fraternal order. Okay.
She was also mentioning that what's happening this year also is that a lot of their food costs have gone up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
As we know, everything has gone up, so their expenses of running this have gone up. So that's part of the reason for the request.
Anyone else? Any questions? All right, call the vote.
Vice Mayor Best.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo.
No.
Councilman Fahet.
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion moves. Okay. Let's see. We move to item 12, other business, appointment of representative and an alternate representative to the Miami-Dade League, Miami-Dade County League of Cities. I'm currently the representative for the Miami-Dade County League of Cities, but now I'll be on the Mayor's Coalition. So every year they ask us to appoint someone in a backup, and this is a gathering where all the cities have an opportunity once a month. They have a meeting, and you get to know the other council people, but most importantly is behind the scenes, the Miami-Dade League of Cities works continuously with all the municipalities on issues that affect all of us, to give us more information for one thing, but more ability to address issues that are pretty relevant throughout the communities. So,
Yeah, what's the date on this?
well,
So folks can know.
actually, the appointment, it was due for April, but since we were having elections, I let them know that it wouldn't be possible for us to appoint someone till now. So actually I think Thursday.
I think it's tomorrow, the
tomorrow or
13th,
next-
April
the-
13th.
Right, will
yeah.
be the, which
Installation.
there is installation, which will be a virtual installation.
Mhm.
So we need to have a motion for a member and then an alternate.
Mayor, are you asking for someone to
From
volunteer?
here.
Volunteer.
from,
Right,
the
someone to
council.
volunteer to
Yes,
serve?
Yes.
Okay, I'd be happy to serve as a representative.
I would certainly support that.
As the alternate?
No, I would support
Oh, you would support
Councilman
it, okay.
Fahed, absolutely.
Right.
I've done it a few times. I mean, well,
Councilman Vasquez
I like to.
to be as
be
the alternate?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll take a motion for,
motion to move the item, Councilman Fahed and Councilman Vasquez is back.
okay.
I'll second that.
Second it?
Mhm.
All right, take the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Best.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo.
Yes.
Councilman Fahet.
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Erica, then you'll notify them of
Yes,
the
yes.
new appointees? Okay. And all the meetings have been virtual so far. They used to be once a month at a gathering at a different municipality. In fact, we had them here at the golf course a few times and invited all the municipalities here, which was really nice. Okay, the next item is just an update on the 2021 State of Florida Legislative Appropriations Request for South Rural Poinciana Project. the East Drive project and the senior meals, which are the 3 of the 4 projects. The 4th project that we requested was the what do we call
Bank
it? Canal
restoration.
Bank. What do we call it?
Restoration.
Restoration. So, and we have been approved for 3 out of the 4 have passed through the state of Florida Senate and House. And we're waiting for the governor
to sign it in June.
to sign it.
right.
And if the
right.
governor does not veto it, it'll just be a really
Windfall.
windfall for,
He's-
well,
he's-
just
he's been in a
needed
signing
because
mood,
these,
So
pardon me?
I said he's been on a signing mood. Hopefully,
Yes. so-
hopefully just sign off on
William,
it.
is there
And
anything?
by the way, we just, Heidi sent me the Treasury guidance that was issued today on the ARA, and they do include stormwater projects
Yeah.
as part of the.
Okay.
So
Goodness.
that's
William, do you want to say how much for each of these projects that we're hoping to receive, or we've been approved through this House and Senate to receive for each of these projects? Do you have that? It's, or,
the money we're getting from ARA.
Yeah.
no, from
Down about
the legislature.
Okay. For the Senior Center Meal Program is $215,000. The Miami Springs, the South Royal Point Sienna Median, $1 million, and the East Drive Stormwater and Road Improvement Project, $1.5 million.
So that's a
Through the
really-
chair, William, will that 215 supplement the meals for? It's an annual number, right, for the whole year?
It's an annual number, and it's supplementary to what we already receive.
Correct.
So this is for additional meals and for additional programs. This is how we fund some of these classes that they're giving down and all that.
Yep.
Okay. And I just want to state again that we're incredibly grateful to State Representative Brian Avila and our State Senator Manny Diaz, who are the ones who pushed for all of these to be approved through the House and the Senate. So their hard work on behalf of our city is very much appreciated.
Jose Fuentes.
And our, absolutely, and our lobbyist, Becker, Jose Fuentes and the staff there, who are the ones that keep the pressure on talent. And I don't mean the pressure, I keep these appropriations at the forefront, our request for these appropriations at the forefront of our legislative representatives in Tallahassee to make sure that that they get the attention that they need.
Right. I through the chair, I'll go on record. I have gone on record as having, based on what I was hearing, what any of us were hearing over the years, which is virtually nothing. This is going like 180 out. We're getting stuff all the time on our iPads and reports from what's going on up there every week.
Yes.
Very excellent reporting on the part of Becker on this.
And
I'll
hard
say that
work.
for Jose. Yep.
And our legislators have really worked hard for us to.
I had a quick question for William. What's the balance that we need on the Canal Bank restoration? I think we said
1.5 million.
How much?
1.5.
1.5. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions on this?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The next agenda item is a summary of the council workshop on May 5th.
Yeah, let me just, I'll run through what we took out of it towards the end, and then we can discuss if there's anything different. In the first part, we all agree that East Drive stormwater project, the flooding over there, the median project, those are all top priorities, and those are going to get done with the money from the state and ARA money.
Yeah.
Okay. Second part is the 3 items for Parks and Rec that we discussed, which is the racquetball, painting of the community center. There were 3 items here.
The Stafford walking path.
And Stafford walking path. Yes.
The Stafford walking path.
Those 3. Yeah, those are all.
Yeah. Oh, no. That's the second part. The first part was the racquetball courts, the cabanas, replacing the cabanas. Remember that one? And let's see. Community center, the racquetball courts, painting the community center, and the
And the cabanas?
replacing the cabanas. Those three, we said add to the budget for next year. Then in the next column, we're going to add the walking path at Stafford and the 70-foot bases. Oh, Bob was against that one.
No,
But
and
you
I still am, by the
you-
way.
You also asked us to get pricing on, including bollard lighting on the Stafford walk path.
Mhm.
And you also asked Omar and us to get back to you on the racquetball court, the two different options, the pricing on doing it
Right.
completely covered or open. We
And one,
discussed that.
one other thing, William, on the canopy that I don't think we discussed it then, but I would like to ask for double pricing is just replacing the canvas on the existing canopies
Uh-huh.
or redoing.
On the cabanas?
On the cabanas, I'm sorry, yes. Of keeping, because I looked at the structures themselves and they look like really it's just the mold on the canvas covering. I know Omar had suggested, replacing it totally to get a bigger size cabana.
Is there a
for
product that can clean it up,
revenue,
maybe?
But I'd like to see both of those prices.
On the golf course, you asked Paul to get back, I think it was Councilwoman Bravo, that come out with a cost of the actual golf course work without having to, the building and all that other items. So he's getting pricing on that. We discussed adding $50,000 a year for sidewalks to start some of the sidewalk improvements. Let me give you an update on that one. We've been informed that we can use CITT money.
Nice.
For that. At the same time, I am also talked to Mayor Mitchell today too about working areas to get grants or ADA grants, either through FDOT or through the county or through the federal government to help get some of that $2 million that we need to do the entire project. But in the meantime, we'll be able to take about $50,000 a year from CITT to pay that, so it won't affect our general fund.
We haven't tapped that recently, have we?
Huh?
I said, we haven't tapped that recently, have we?
On the police side, you said to add one police officer to the budget and put one on a wish list so we can consider doing the budget workshops. Under businesses in the downtown area, there was discussion about setting up an economic development advisory board. I think that I know Heidi is working on. Heidi is also working on nuisance abatement board for to get rid of some of the problems we're having on 36th Street. Heidi is also supposed to be working on pricing on the code review, the price to do the entire code at one time or to do sections of it.
The codification, right?
I know she's working on that. And I think that's all I had. You have anything else?
I think you hit all.
Heidi, you have anything I missed?
Just on a clarification on the code, it wouldn't be the whole code, just the zoning code.
Just 150 or whatever. Yeah.
And I think long-term and not something anywhere near this budget, but we discussed the need that the city hall is outgrowing itself. And my personal, and it probably won't be when I'm still on the council when this comes up, but it's something that we need to address. But I would like to keep this building and have the police move to another building, like we discussed with possibly, we're going to look into funding for a parking garage and a police facility. If there was, I think we discussed that.
Did.
So that then if the police move out of this building, we could keep this building. This is Miami modern architectural design, which is just, it's really unique. And it's very much a part of, of Miami Springs history. So I would much rather see us maintain this as City Hall and expand our staff in here and have the police move somewhere else than build a new City Hall. But again, that's probably not something that's going to be before this council soon. But I think that's a long term of the next project, major project after the golf course that we need to consider.
Just like a parade, right?
Mayor, I had I guess this is a question. I made this, I thought that the workshop the other night was extremely valuable because I feel like I got a lot of insight, and even though we were here until late, I'm glad that we did it. I made a comment that evening that I wish that there had been some kind of way for us to, at the end, kind of prioritize, because I feel like my priorities shifted as I heard different things. So as he was, William was going through those things, do these things kind of get massaged, when we start the budget process?
Of course, yes.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I just.
And in August, we have budget workshops
Right.
every other week, and then we have the council meeting, so it's a lot of time.
We have a
for
meeting
us
every
to-
week.
Yes.
Perfect. Much.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of other issues that weren't addressed at the budget workshop because, of course, we can't cover everything, but I know there's a lot of other issues that residents are concerned with that
Sure.
concern all of us,
Mhm.
of traffic calming,
Sure.
and I guess what I want to get across with that is those are ongoing. I mean, we're dealing with those. This was more of major issues that for us to all kind of be in agreement
Right.
of where we want to see the budget,
Mhm.
because obviously nothing can move forward without budget
course.
financing. So
Of
it
course.
gives the city staff a direction as to what we want to see on the proposed budget for next year so we can move forward. But by no means does that mean that all these other issues that a lot of them are in the works, they're constantly, we're working on them behind the scenes, aren't
This
important.
isn't everything. This, aside
Oh.
from
Right.
this, we have
It's-
our normal day-to-day.
Exactly. It's just,
Like we discussed today with
Yeah.
your,
Yeah.
and I know you and Councilman Vasquez are working on the same thing about
Right.
the area on the east side that.
Correct.
What we're talking about, there'll be a future agenda item on this, but some of the areas like Manola and near 36th Street, some of those residents have approached about closing off the pedestrian access on the sidewalks from the hotels into the residential. So I think we have now, the list has grown from 1 to 5
Right.
streets that residents are clamoring for this. So we got a field trip. I told both Councilman Vasquez and Councilman Fahad, I want to do the homework first, get the cost.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to you with an agenda item and to show you what we want to do and what the cost is. So
Yeah.
I know some years ago we engaged in that and we studied that whole thing, and it was determined that okay, we'll do this street, but they're just going to go around it. So unless you do the whole thing,
right.
Right.
All that was done was block off the vehicle
I know.
traffic,
Mhm.
not
Remember.
the pedestrian traffic.
I
Right.
remember.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move to reports and recommendations. We're winding down from our city attorney.
I think we're all set for tonight. I think the items that we talked about last week were very helpful for everyone. I agree with that, and we'll have the information available soon.
City manager. Oh, yes, go on.
I know that, I think I mentioned it at last week's workshop, but we do have the Unsafe Structures Board hearing next week on Wednesday relating to the property that's locally known as the Airport Diner. So I just wanted to let you know that that's coming up next Wednesday. And my colleague Jose Arango is preparing for that with our building official Ulysses Fernandez. So as soon as we have a result from that hearing, we will be sure to let you know. I know that's been hot on everyone's minds.
William?
Um,
Tammy?
Just as you know, we have the vaccinations at the community center all week except for Thursday. Again, Johnson & Johnson. The last 4 days that they were here, they did over 900 Johnson & Johnson vaccines. Yeah, and they're telling me, and you can see it out there, it seems to be leveling off. The county just sent a report out today where there were some certain sites that they're either closing down or reducing hours, reducing days because there's not that many people there coming in. So, and we still haven't, I think we've only done maybe half of the county has been vaccinated.
43%, I think I
1.3,
saw.
1.4
Yeah.
million. So I would just encourage everybody, the faster everybody gets vaccinated, the sooner we get
Better
out
we're
of
going to
this.
get out of this. You bet.
Um,
You bet.
Unfortunately, that's a trend
Yeah,
across the
right.
country.
Yeah.
And it's done
It is.
slow down a little bit.
It
Yeah.
is.
And I want to thank all of you that were there today for the Sebastian Ortiz Street naming. That was very emotional, very moving, and I'm sure the family appreciated that. And I want to thank Commissioner Sosa for being there on a day like today, because she's got today's a tough day for her, and I know she made it out here because this is important to her. But you told me if it wasn't for this, I would have stayed home all day. And so, and that's all I have. You have anything?
Just the food distribution again. Thursday. While supplies last, of course. May 17th also is the community shred day at the community center from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Everybody in the community is able to shred up to the 3 boxes. And then also on May 17th is the One Blood Drive at the community center as well from 11:30 to 4:30.
Okay. City Council, let's start on this end now with Councilman Vasquez.
Well, the only thing I wanted to comment on was the comments made during the public forum about this issue that's been going on for quite a few weeks, and apparently we're going to be looking at some things, right? So I'm encouraged by that. I mean, I think that it's important that all residents are heard, and the residents that took the time and put the money in to set those things up. It's important to recognize them as well. And just to clarify that, I don't believe anyone anytime mentioned anything negative about the flags. I mean, I think it was just that one hashtag. And so, my comments last time around were about just trying to come to some kind of resolution so we could just get past this. My worry is next year is the politicians' hunting season. A friend of mine used to call it election time. And, I don't want to see anything, Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, QAnon, whatever. I mean, Antifa, I don't, it's not we have to be careful though, right? And we want to be careful because we don't want to infringe on anyone's First Amendment rights to free speech. But I know that that's limited, right, on public grounds, city grounds. But my thoughts are just let's get this done and on the way, and let's move on to the big things that we need to do and the things we have before us. So I was there at the event this morning. I got to meet the parents. As a father of 7, I can't. It's just unfathomable to me, to have to bury a child. There's just no other thing. And, burying your parents is one thing. But, I told him that I was happy to be there to recognize him and his effort, and that I hope that the day would go, well for them. And I think they were both very appreciative, but it's a tough, I think it was his birthday today too, or something like that. It was just, so I'm glad Congresswoman Bravo and I were able to be there. I know everyone couldn't be there, but to support the family in this beautiful recognition of a very tough day for them and the family. And so the turnout was incredible, I thought. The number of people that turned out, it was just wonderful to see. A lot of young people there too. So I'm glad we did it. And, it's the kind of thing we need to do more of as well. Hopefully not that type of folks losing young people, but but the support for the family. I think that, once they went home and they had their moment, that my hope is that they also recognize our support, the city support and recognition of this young man. Apparently, a very special young man as well. So I was glad to be there.
Councilman Behet?
Thank you. So yeah, I had every intention of being at that event this morning. I was sad that I couldn't make it because I had things happen at work that needed me there. But certainly, I think that it keeps his legacy alive, and through their foundation, they've done wonderful work, and so I'm glad that the city was able to do that for them to honor him and his legacy. And I just wanted to thank all of you because I thought that workshop was very productive, and I thought we got a great deal out of it. So thank you guys for everything, the city staff, and from the mayor and the members of the council for all the for being leaders that you guys are and helping us do what's best for the city. Thank you.
Councilwoman Bravo. Well, as Vasquez said, we were there present for Sebastian Strong designation of the street, as well as Mayor Maria Mitchell. It was a beautiful event, a bittersweet event to experience, but it was deserved. And I think, yes, today is Sebastian's birthday, so happy birthday in heaven. And happy birthday to his mom, too. I think today is his mom's birthday. So bittersweet, but a beautiful gift to the family on this special day. Heidi, I'm so glad to know that you are looking into those two items, the Nuisance and Abatement Board, as well as the Economic Advisory Board. So I look forward to working on that with you as well as the council. And I think that's it. I think the workshop was amazing. It allowed us to talk about pending items, hot topics that haven't really been able to be addressed, and maybe they have been addressed, but I think we're on the right path to getting things done. So I'm looking forward to that. And I have nothing else to say. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, through the chair. First thing I'm going to say tonight is, and I saw this morning on our iPad that we get about the grandchild of Rosie Buckner. That's terrible, and may God bless that grandchild's soul. For somebody to lose a grandchild, and somebody mentioned earlier about losing a child. How about a grandchild? I mean, so that's got to be tough. Also, I'd like to mention my dear friend Paul Bethhorn, who recently passed away. There was a very nice ceremony at Blessed Trinity. On Saturday, celebration of life for Paul. There was a mass at Blessed Trinity, and then over at VG, they had a real nice layout over there, and a lot of people spoke. There must have been 200-300 people there at this. Yeah, there was more people at that Requiem mass than there was for John Cavalier, and I was at John's, so I'm telling you, it was ridiculous, the turnout for Paul. So that said. While we're on Blessed Trinity, I'm going to speak, William, to you this week. Father Alfaro is going to be leaving Blessed Trinity. He announced it on the weekend. Yes, he was here for 8 years. He's really touched this town in a way, as far as his ecumenicalism in terms of working with other churches and stuff, and what have you. He's just done an awful lot. Did a mass with the Archbishop in the gazebo back about 4 years ago or whatever it was. And he's just really engaged the community and done an awful lot of good things for this community. And I'm going to come to you, and I've already spoke to the mayor on this, so I'm going to come to you, and if we could do some kind of a plaque or recognition. I forewent my opening tonight with the
Invocation.
the innovation. And I asked the mayor if I could do it on the 24th. I'm going to invite Father Alfaro to do my innovation on the 24th. And if we could put something together, and I'll get with you on it as far as the verbiage of how we do that. But I think he's deserving of that. He's going to St. John Newman down in Kendall. That's his next assignment.
When is he leaving?
June 13th. That'll be his last day here at Blessed Trinity. So I thought the 24th made sense. This was too quick to do it tonight. But so anyway, I'll be getting with you on that. That was nice. Daniel Jr. tonight coming here again. The first time he came here, it was like 180, right? From what he was telling us tonight, from what what he was telling us the first time he came. So that was wonderful. I'm just going to bring up the War Memorial. We really don't have much to report on that yet, but going forward, that's still in the mix, and we'll be getting back to you on that. I haven't spoke much, and I've been bombarded by folks in this town about the hashtag One Nation thing. I'm not going to say much on this tonight, other than we'll have our moment, right, to speak on it. I think that it's something that, as Councilman Vasquez said earlier, this is something that really has to be entertained on both sides of the aisle, and it just can't be, we're going to do this, and these people are just, you can't address that. You have to do it right, and I think we are doing it right by not having yet made it an agenda item. That's all I want to say on that. Miami Springs Senior High School, the baseball team, won the districts. They won the regionals, the first game of the regionals last week, and game 2 of the regionals is tomorrow at 3:30. I spoke to Omar. Yeah. So we're going to do that game, and then if they win that, they go to state again.
Nice.
They did it 2 years ago. Last year there was nothing because of the pandemic, but they'll be going to state if they win that
A
tomorrow.
game called by the voice of Miami Springs.
Yeah, whatever. And Mayor, finally, I'd just like to say that was coming out of the gate in your administration for you to call a meeting on May 5th of that magnitude that you did last week. To your credit.
Thank you.
I hats off to you for that. Excellent. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor. Just a few things I wanted to, and I'm so glad, Vice Mayor, that you mentioned Paul Bidhorn, because he too will be very much missed in our community. He was a former mayor of Virginia Gardens and just very active in sports and avid bird watcher. He did bird watch walks and so many things. The Optimist Club and so many things. So, and also I wanted to mention our sadness at the loss of a resident playing basketball 2 weeks ago. My condolences to his family, and we're all saddened, by that incident, and wish the very best for his family. If there's anything we can do to assist, please let us know. I wanted to mention about the flag display on Curtis Parkway, and I know we've heard from residents about their concerns and all. So all I'm going to say with that is that our city attorney and our city manager are working on coming forward with an administrative policy to deal with these kinds of incidents in the future. A lot of times until something happens, we don't know that there's something that we need to address. So when that's ready, then they'll present it at council. And what this will do is prevent us from getting into this kind of situation in the future. The other thing I wanted to mention is FDOT reached out to me, I think last week before. They wanted to meet, and William's going to meet with me regarding the Northwest 36th Street. I don't know if they call it expansion project. I forget what they call it. Corridor or something. We had them come to a meeting in November to present the project. This is a really big concern to me, because right now they're just saying, well, they're just studying it, and these things, how they work is we're just looking at it, we're giving time, talking to all the cities and all, and then bam, we've talked to everyone, the time's over, and this is what we're going to do. So it's really, really important for us to stay on top of this and, get the message across very early on that by no means are we going to tolerate an expansion of Northwest 36th Street to accommodate east-west traffic, which is really from Doral. It's, they've allowed, my opinion is the county has allowed uncontrolled development in Doral, and their freight and, needs more access to go east-west to get to I-95 and all. And so they're looking at the Northwest 36th Street. And as far as I'm concerned, we're going to make sure that they'll have to find something on the south side of the airport to accommodate that. So we'll let you know what the results of that are, and probably have them back in a future city council meeting to again present where they are with that study. And I think that's pretty much all. Again, my condolences to Rosie Buckner on, she sat here on the council, and I just can't imagine the loss of her son. And I agree that
Grandchild.
grandson, excuse me, and the event today, the street naming for Sebastian Ortiz, was just for a remarkable young man that will live on in our community. His memory and his inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Oh my gosh. Hi.
Right in front, yeah, she was asking him about it, and then she said, I just want you to know I'm going